Again, like this meme shows it here, right? Customer from customer's end, obviously they will want the perfect service with the perfect price in perfect time, right? Right service, right price, right time. 3 hours of any kind of. So in procurement, they call about this 3 hours or 7 hours. Whenever somebody is procurement or the logistics personnel, right? Whenever they are purchasing something, right? They want material at the right quality, right price, and right time. So those are the 3 hours of logistics. Same thing for the customers also, right? If I purchase something through Amazon, Flipkart, right now big billion days are coming on, right? So it is not that I'm getting a product in discount, so I'll compromise with the quality. So none of us wants that, right? Whichever product we are buying, whether it is electronics or the clothes, we always want best of the products with the best price for means lowest cost, right? And obviously at the right time. So delivery, let's say none of us want to compromise. If they are told 3 days, though we might not use that product within 3 days or 5 days. If there is a delay in one day also, we'll like kind of get kind of frustrated, right? And that is where if you see Amazon and Flipkart, they have started kind of combining your deliveries, the same day delivery or the like prime delivery. Somewhere if you are okay with little bit of delay, see there is a kind of marketing concept also there, right? So all of these things are combined. Look into Amazon's model there. Whenever this kind of big billion days are happening, they know that it is not that people are buying products for the discount. It is not that they need that products urgently. And right now they have a challenge to fulfill all the orders, right? So 2 or 3 years back, what they started during this big billion day, if as a customer you are willing to wait for your order delivery 2 3 days more, you'll get a discount of 25 rupees, 50 rupees. That is a very small discount. But still, like as a customer, what will think? Okay, I have purchased that item for 1,000 rupees. Let's say I have purchased the pant shirt or jeans or whatever t-shirt. Right now, anyhow, I'm not going to wear it. I'll wear it during my Diwali. Uh, I can wait for 5 days or 3 days, right? They are giving me anyhow 25 rupees, right? And that is where you can play with the customer's kind of mindset. But if I say that, okay, I'm not giving you anything, will you wait? None of us will wait. We want this. So that is where you mix up. The problem is not with the marketing part. The problem right now is on fulfilling all the orders, because the normal whatever the order size or the kind of quantum of orders which are happening on regular day in Amazon or Flipkart, if I compare right now in big billion day for Flipkart and Amazon, it will be maybe twice or 1.5 times, right? With the same resources, with the same delivery personals, it will be impossible to match those kind of order deliveries, right? Even if you take a buffer, rather than in a normal regular sales cycle where you are telling your order will be delivered within 3 days, right now you're telling 5 days. Even then, you will not be able to deliver within 5 days. So now, if you see, if you go and order something in Amazon, it is not that they have started right now. They have started 2 or 3 years back, or a little bit before that. So if you are willing to sacrifice the 2 or 3 days, which is not a big deal for most of the customers, Amazon is willing to pay you 25 or 50 rupees more as Amazon Pay balance or something like that, right? So that is where the challenge is. You are able to, for the company, they are able to meet the deliveries, right? They are able to meet the customer's expectations, right? How? Because they are providing that discount. Now customer is happy. Okay, anyhow, I can wait for 2 or 3 days. I'm getting 25 rupees like that, right? So that is somewhere as a wherever, whether it is a logistics role or a marketing role, it is not that you will be working on silos. Sometimes one problem of one segment, one function can be solved by a kind of action by the other segment, right? So the problem is with right now with the logistics part for Amazon or Flipkart, delivering those products on time. That can be solved by the providing discount from the sales and marketing side. Okay, if you are waiting for that 10 days, not 10 days, maybe 2 or 3 days more, I'll pay you 25 rupees in Amazon Pay balance, which you can use it later on, right? And that is where your kind of all these functions come together, and it is not that they will work in silos. So how do you improve your service quality, right? So there are various ways, and most of them are started from manufacturing, right? Because service is basically initially we thought is an intangible. It is very much dependent on how people or how your employees behave, right? So most of the times, if whatever concept on service quality you can think of, it came from product quality, manufacturing quality, right? I'm not sure whether total quality management is still on, and some of you might have taken that. So whatever concept you study there, right, later on, some of them, right, moved into or started being incorporated in service quality also, right? It is not that something they created new regarding service quality. Most of these concepts have been taken from your operations management or the production and operations management, right? Only thing that how do you incorporate that in a service which is very intangible, right? So first thing is incorporation of quality in the service package itself. You remember those 5 elements of service package, right? Starting from the physical facility, facilitating goods, your explicit service, implicit service, and what kind of information you are providing to customer. Those are the 5 elements of a service package. You start incorporating your quality while designing that service package, right? Because that is easier. Later, changing something is very difficult. When you are designing your service package, start to incorporate those elements of service quality. Then there is something called Taguchi method. Again, it is a concept from your manufacturing side. We'll discuss that. Then Pokayo, again, it is from manufacturing. Quality function deployment. It is a mix of marketing research and product management. If some of you have taken product or brand management, in the product management end, they might have told you something about the quality function deployment. We are not going to calculate something again because that itself is a big chapter, but at least we'll understand the fundamentals of how to calculate it. Then service benchmarking. Then there is something which is important, which is value stream mapping, right? There are very many ways or many kind of different elements of value stream mapping. It is most kind of used in again manufacturing or logistics sector. But again, we'll try to use it or try to understand it, how it can be used in a service organization or service industry, right? So remember, whatever we are going to study, apart from the first method, right, which is specific to service package, whether it is Taguchi, Pokayo, it will be all relevant for your total quality management also, right? It is not only for service quality, right? Though the concept or methods can be universal, can be utilized across product management and service management. So how do you incorporate quality in service package? First is supporting facility or physical facility, right? The infrastructure. So that is something whether you will be able to build your uh, compound, build that infrastructure, which is maintenance free, right? Uh, in USA, Europe, they have started those kind of hospitals or restaurant, those building interior. The paint will be in such a way that if any like let us spillage happens, right? Because most of the times in hospitals and restaurant, right, there is a problem of either the food spillage or in case of a hospital might be blood or other waste material spillage, right? Cleaning is a most difficult task. Every 1 hour or 2 hour you have to clean, which is again mandatory in a hospital. Even for a restaurant also, due to those food like kind of administration, right? They have to like kind of mandatorily have about to clean. How quickly you are able to clean? What kind of if you are able to use that kind of paint material, building material is like in such a kind of material that cleaning is easy, right? It will not stick to the floor. If your normal floor, anytime any spillage happens, if you are not able to clean within 5 minutes or 10 minutes, there will be a mark on, there will be a spot on that. But if you are intelligently use those kind of material, you might have to pay a little bit of more during your construction or the interior designing. But if your paint material or the building material is such a way that maintenance will be less, right? Maintenance free environment. There is something called automatic underground sprinkler system, right? Most of the roads in some apartment buildings, right? Rather than employing personals who will clean, will put water and clean those roads or clean those apartment areas, open areas. If you have those sprinkler system, right, it will automatically like put water and the road will be cleaned. right? But the problem is, or the point is, when you are designing your service package, you have to think about that. When road construction is happening inside your apartment area, whether there is a provision of putting those automatic sprinkler system, so that you do not have to put a maintenance personnel who will come every day to clean the road or clean the area. Automatic wastewater will be circulated and it will be cleaned. Decentralized heating and air conditioner. If you think about your classrooms, and in the offline classrooms, we used to always get that problem, because in our homes, what happens? Almost all our homes, in case we have a air conditioner, it is always a decentralized. That means if I'm putting air conditioner, it is only for my room. If I want to kind of have another air condition another room, I have to buy another air conditioner, right? And that is how it works. You have to buy like 3 units or 4 units if you have to kind of air condition all the rooms. But in big buildings, apartments, not apartment, malls, hospitals, your universities, our classrooms, everything system is a centralized air conditioner system, right? So it is not that each classroom have a separate air conditioning system. You have a centralized 200 tonnage or 500 tonnage of air conditioner, and that is providing air conditioning air to all the classrooms. Now the problem what happens, if there is a malfunction in that equipment, all your classrooms will be deprived of air conditioning air, right? So rather than doing that, if you have separate air conditioners for each classroom, maintaining them is easy. If there is malfunctions, it will not that all the classrooms simultaneously, all the air conditioners will be malfunctioning. In one classroom it happens, your students or teachers can move to other classrooms, right? And that is the advantage of decentralized air conditioners. But again, it is costly. Yeah, electricity consumption will be more. So there is a separate way to it, separate insight to it, why people still use centralized air conditioners, or it is why it is much more preferred, because your equipment cost will be low, your maintenance cost will be low, and your kind of electricity cost will be low. But the other advantage, if you have a decentralized system, maintenance will be like kind of, if there is a malfunction, right? There will be a malfunction for one classroom. It is not going to affect all the classrooms simultaneously, right? Facilitating goods, right? What you provide. If you go to a restaurant, how the chairs and tables have been designed, right? There is an interesting case study about the Starbucks. How do they design this kind of chairs, and how do they design where they put those chairs and tables, right? Because in USA, what happens in Starbucks, and that is where the culture differentiation happens, right? Most of the Starbucks will be near to those offices, right? So what happens when people go to the office, they just collect that coffee, like whatever medium size, small size, or large size coffee, and they carry it to their offices, right? Most of the people do not sit there and during, at least during the morning time. But in Europe and all those places, when they put those Starbucks, people generally like kind of try to, they find those coffee places as a gathering place, right? Where they start chit chatting or the whatever any kind of discussions, right? How do you design those kind of tables, chairs? All those aspects need to be taken care of. There was a good, I'll not tell that is a case study, whether you'll put a rectangular or a square table or a circular table top. So your table top, what you put in a restaurant, most of the times either it will be rectangular, square, sometimes it is circular, right? How, what is the difference between them? Where to put circular table, where to put a rectangular or a square table, right? And there is a human emotions or human psychology associated with. If you go to a like kind of restaurant, right, and you will find out like on your own, if there is a rectangular table and a circular table, right? If you are alone, right, you'll move to the circular table. If you are with your friends, most of the times you'll move to the square table or a rectangular table. So in Starbucks, they try to implement that idea, because they understood that some people come uh, alone, some people just have to their own me time. So they started putting those circular tabletop. small tables, circular tables where people can sit on their own, where they do not have a company, right? And so those are the few things you have to keep in mind, because it is something very kind of associated with human emotions, psychology, right? You have to do a lot of study around it, lot of observations, right? It is not that you do a market research, which kind of tabletop you want. Nobody will be able to answer that. Once you observe people, right, and they do read that, so they try to find out which kind of, they put different kind of tables in their kind of different Starbucks showrooms, sorry, not showrooms, outlets, and they try to find out that which kind of people, when they are in group, which kind of table they choose, when they are alone, which kind of table they choose, right? And that is very kind of unintentional. It is not that you are choosing consciously. Unconsciously it happens. Then bedside tables are supported from the wall to facilitate. Imagine the hotels, right? Some of you might have stayed there, right? In the room, every day, every other day, it needs to be cleaned, right? Because new guest will arrive. If you have a table chair like that, right? What happens? Taking it out, cleaning it, it is again a difficult process, right? But if you have a table which is kind of fixed to the wall, right? So it has no legs on the floor. Cleaning will be easy, right? Otherwise, what happens if you have put a table with 4 legs? Somebody will have to hold it, and then again they have to clean the inside part of it, right? Rather than doing that, if it is fixed to the wall, right, without any legs, then cleaning will be easy. See, these are very simple things, simple examples, but how much effort it will save, how much quality improvement will happen. Disposable plastic cups used instead of glass, because glass is fragile. With restaurant and hospitals, if you are using glasses, right, it will be like cost prohibitive, right? So rather than that, you can use plastic. Again, you have to think of whether plastic is environmentally sustainable. So whether rather than plastic, can I use a paper cup, right? So those are the few things. And facilitating goods, you have to, again, these are few examples. There can be many examples around it, but the main idea is, while designing itself, you are thinking about those quality improvement. Information. Whenever a guest want to check in into a hotel, or let's say in airports, right? If you have previous data about the customers and you have kept it everything ready, most of the in next class we'll discuss about that, how that I think Hotel Sheraton improved that check-in time. So they did a survey. They found out that minimum average time to check in a hotel in Sheraton, obviously it is not recently, 10, 15 years or 20 years back, when they did that survey, they found out that it was taking on an average around 40 or 45 minutes. So if the customers or the guests are coming to their hotel, so they at least need 45 minutes to check into different kind of their hotel services, right? How will you reduce that? How will you reduce that time frame? If you have the customers information and you can anticipate what they need. If you know that customers have stayed with you in other kind of cities, then they always need a non-smoking room. They are allergic to smokes and all those things, so they need a non-smoking room, or they need a room which is not close to the elevator or the lift, right? So you can at least book or make an attempt to reserve those kind of rooms for them, right? That is where information will help you, if you are keeping those informations about the customers, right? So check-in and check-out processes can be speedier, like you can speedy that up. Implicit services, that is somewhere which is not written, right? Because information, when I say, that is something which I can work on. Implicit is about your, how, like empathy is one of the dimension, like I said, that is the most difficult dimensions in service quality, and that is related to your implicit service, because empathy you cannot teach somebody, right? Either it is there or not. Teaching empathy is very difficult, right? It is not that a storybook or a kind of a scripture I'll give you and you read that and you will certainly someday somebody will change. Over the years, people change, but it takes time, right? How do you put that like into your employee, that how they should treat your customers, right? So that is where your interpersonal skills, that is where your job descriptions also comes into picture, right? How do you select those persons when you are putting them into in front of your customers? So training, recruitment makes a much importance there. Explicit service, explicit service which you are kind of claiming, which is in your marketing and advertisement. So you don't claim that okay, my employees are very friendly. That you have to show, that is implicit. They care for you, that has to be implicit. My generally they don't put that my doctors are very caring. I would do, we do have a very careful or caring nurses. What do we say? That they are qualified doctors, they have 15 years of experience, 20 years of nursing experience, right? That is very explicit. I have a diploma, I have a degree, I have a experience certificate to show that. That is the difference between explicit and implicit service. Then how do you show that? Rooms are same appearance, right? Maids are trained to make the room in a standard manner. So that is somewhere it will be applicable in hotels, right? So if guests come and they have to check two different rooms, right? Some rooms are not cleaned at all, some rooms are very well cleaned, maintained. It's not happen like that, right? So that's how they train, and something with your airlines also, right? So that is where you get up appearance of all those attendants, air hostesses comes into picture. They're trained to use the same language, same way they greet. Sometimes it looks artificial, but that has been the training for them. Whichever Indigo airline you take or whichever Air India airline you take, you will get the same feeling. Otherwise, what will happen in some airline, depending upon the air hostess or the attendants, you'll have a very good experience. In some airlines, you might have a very bad experience, right? Same like for Indigo, in the different flight, you might have different experience, right? So to reduce that, obviously there will be always difference, but to reduce that, to make it uniform, the training makes a, so they have been trained in the same exact manner. What to tell, when to smile, what exactly, how to put those safety instructions, right? And that is somewhere your explicit services comes into picture. How to design your explicit service, right? So you have to put those standards, you have to put those scripts, right? So whichever so those of you have gone through flights, right? So whatever they tell exactly during the initial 5 minutes, during boarding 3 minutes or 5 minutes, that is a script, right? They just read it out, so that everywhere they give the same message, right? It is not up to the individual employees to make their own statement, right? In at least in most of the airlines. Uh, so any questions on the, yes, Vikal.
Sir, in the service package, we were taught that training of the service personnel will be explicit services.
Training of the
Service personnel.
yes. So training
Sir,
everywhere. It is not only about the implicit. It is everywhere. So information also you have to train your employees whether they are able to collect that information. So any
so
kind of
where,
service.
yeah, sir, if it is written here training in SOP, then it is in which sense?
Training
Like
is
age
where.
we will,
Hmm.
yes,
Yeah,
sir.
go on, go
Yes, sir,
on, go on,
please.
go on, go on.
Sir, age we were taught that implicit services are like what's customer the feels,
Yes.
right? Senses. So, sir,
So when I say customer, how you feel? If you let's say think about yourself. Let's say internet, yesterday internet is not working. Geo or Airtel was down, right? So what will happen? You will call to their customer care service, or you will just walk down to, if it is nearby their customer care service center, you will just go by there, right? Now what happens is there might be a long queue or there might be many people before you, right? So by the time you reach there, what do you mean by implicit service? How do you feel reaching there, right? So it is not only the employees, how much time you have to wait. So there is something with the queuing system also. Once you reach, let's say it took 15 minutes or half an hour or 1 hour to reach to that customer care guy, and you are telling the same problem. Last 6 hours or 8 hours, internet was not working. It was very slow, right? How do they are treating you? So when I say how a customer feels, it has lot to do with how you are being treated, right? So that part is very interpersonal, right? So though training will happen, though you can tell that okay, this is something you have to exactly tell to the customers if a service failure happens, right? But it will be very employee specific, right? So there will be few employees who will be very cordial when they're treating you or when they're talking to you. They'll be smiling. They understand your problem. They can sympathize with you. They can empathize with you. They will say that yes, sir, I also did face that issue. I can clearly understand your problem, but let me assure you that we are working on that within 2 hours of time. Or somebody else said that no, this is happening with everywhere. It is not only with our company. Go to Airtel also, go to Vodafone also. It is the same problem. Why do you are blaming internet for us? It is not in our control, right? That is where your implicit services comes into picture. Explicit services, as a Airtel or a Geo service, you would have told downtime will be very less. We are assuring you 99.5% of uptime. That means out of 100 days or whatever year, there might be one day or a half a day where downtime will happen. Otherwise, our network will be available to you almost 365 days, 24 hours. Uh, there is no issues with that, right? So that is something which I'm claiming. For that, it is not only that. So again, don't take it as a silo that okay, exclusive service means that is a promise which a company have to keep. It is again associated with do you have an infrastructure for that, right? So when I'm claiming that if you come, will be able to serve your like any customer complaint. Airtel claims that, right? So they put advertisement saying that how many complaints for each city. That was that advertisement. I think few months back or a year back they started doing that campaign. So each city they started showing how many complaints are pending, and they told that we'll stop doing that when there is a complaint comes down to zero. So that is a claim they are making. That is the explicit service. They are telling we'll try to reduce the number of complaints. We'll give you great service which will reduce the number of complaints. But for that to happen, do you have that many employees to handle that many services? Do you have that kind of information? Are you collecting that kind of information? And are you able to use that the same information later on? If a customer, most of the times what happens, you might have a router issue at your home, or you might be in a place where network is poor due to kind of huge buildings or nearby interferences. But every time you go, you have to again get the same answer, right? It will be frustrating for you, right? Because you have told that same issue 6 months back or 1 year back. There has been no improvement. But if a company is taking that information and actually working on that, right, they'll be able to keep their promise of their explicit service. But they just take that information and information will be lying somewhere else. And every time you go and you put the same complaint, I have a big issue. Most of the times internet doesn't work. I have to go to a specific room or balcony. Then only I can make a call, right? But as a company, if you're able to keep those information, right, collect that information and work on that, that will help you to keep your promise, what you have made to the customer as a explicit service. Got it, or any questions on?
So sorry to ask you again,
Yeah.
but sir, can you please confirm the experience we get from the behavior of the employees? Can you confirm, will it be explicit or implicit?
If I'm promising that, it will be explicit. So can I promise that every time you come to my hospitals, my doctors will be smiling? Can I promise that?
No, sir. No, sir.
So then that is implicit, right?
Oh, okay.
But can I promise that okay, if I come to your hospital, come to my hospital, you'll get a test done within 15 minutes. You'll get a test results done within 24 hours. Yes, if I have that kind of equipment, if I have that kind of trained nurses, if I have that kind of employees who can complete those tests and uh, have those test results ready within 24 hours, that is something explicit that I can promise, that I can show. You go to a restaurant, I can promise it will be clean, it will be very kind of hygienic, because I can set up processes around it. But no matter how much training I give, no matter how do I select, so that is where implicit service is difficult. So I cannot claim that okay, every time you come, my waiter will be smiling at you, will tell you that welcome sir. So those are few things very, which is how your employees are trained and how actually they're performing on that day. Someday they might be smiling and treating customers very in a very friendly manner. Someday they might be sad or they might be frustrated, they're not treating customers properly. So that is why no restaurant claims that okay, we'll treat you pleasantly, we'll treat you smilingly, right? But what they can claim, will provide you a very clean, hygienic service. Our food will be very prepared in a hygienic manner, right? Because I can set up again processes around it, right? So that is where those kind of visibility of food where there you'll be preparing, it will be glass door, right? You can see that actually how they are preparing your food, right? Most of the high-end restaurants like that. So people like chair and tables will be arranged, and in the center position, chefs or the cooks will be preparing your food. So you know exactly, and sometimes they prepare in very 5-star or 7-star hotels. If you go to those restaurants, they'll prepare in front of you. So there will be a separate area where you'll be seated and you can actually see what they are preparing, right? So that is something which can be explicit. But how do they treat you, right? How do you exactly that they feel about that service, right? Both are again connected, right? That is something implicit. Implicit means promising that part is very difficult. It is intangible. It is inherent nature of a customer. How do they feel? And inherent nature of that employee. How do they treat those customers? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So because yeah, is there a question?
Them, I think that what Vikrant was saying about the attitude of the workers, sir, or the behavior of the workers, that comes under implicit, sir, because it's we are feeling about that.
Yes.
Yes, sir. That was my conclusion.
Explicit service is something which can be promised. I can promise that I have doctors who are 15 years experience in heart surgery or whatever different kind of surgery. But I cannot promise whether if anytime you come to my doctors, whether they'll be smiling, they will be kind of treating you very pleasantly, right? So that is something is a human behavior. I cannot promise that. Training can be done, but again, it is very difficult to train in that sense. Where actually Tata does a very good job, at least Tata hotels or Taj hotels. That is something with your culture, right? So no process, though here it is training and recruitment, right? That has a lot to do with the company's culture, because employees they can learn from their seniors, from their higher management. If your higher management is treating you like machines, right? It will be impossible for you to treat the end customers, right? And most of the time, that is the challenge. Like kind of, you can set up processes. You might have a great recruiting process. You might have a great training, but your managers, your higher management, if they are not treating your employees properly, employees are doing overtime. No matter how good your recruitment process is, no matter how good your training program is, your employees will not be able to actually be pleasant to the customers, right? It will show with them. So that is very difficult to maintain implicit services, right? Because a lot to do with human emotions, psychology, behavior. Where explicit service, which is a kind of a training is possible, right? I have a certificate. I have studied in this college, so I should have. I know this. That is explicit. But can I use that actually in my work, that is implicit. Same thing like whatever you are studying in the class, you all of you will have different input for that, right? So that is very implicit, how much you are taking and how much you will be able to use during interviews or later on. Yeah, but each of you will get a degree that after 6 months, 8 months down the line, you will always have a degree or diploma to show that you are a MBA from certain colleges, right? So wherever you go in your CV, you can put that this is explicit, this is something promised, that yes, I am a postgraduate diploma or let's say a master in business administration from whatever 2019 to 21 or 2020 to 22, right? That means you have that kind of skill sets. How much you are able to use that, that is implicit, right? That has a lot to do with behavior, your internal skill sets. Any last questions on this? Okay, so if not, I'll quickly move into, I'll skip this 3 or 4 methods we'll discuss into next class, because there is a class exercise on the value stream mapping. Let me discuss that, and then we'll kind of close the session for today. Those 3 or 4 methods which I did not discuss today's class, we'll discuss in next class. So let us try to understand what do you mean by value stream mapping. Again, it is a method which is used in manufacturing or production environment, right? So what do you mean by value stream mapping? So you remember like something called a supply chain or a value chain, right? So what does it mean? Anytime you are doing a process in manufacturing, right, in production, right, it seems that you are adding certain value, right? So that is where if some of you are from finance, right, value added tax comes, right? How much value you are adding on that tax happens. That is what the meaning of value added tax. Same thing scenario here. Whenever in value chain, or if I talk about supply chain, right? So any step I take, next step, it should be certain value addition, right? Now what happens, it has been seen that most of the times in production and operation management environment, right, most of the activities are not actually value added, right? Most of the activities are non-value added. Now what does that value stream mapping do? For each process, for each step, you try to find out what are the kind of processes are value adding, what are the processes are non-value adding. Then you try to remove those non-value added activities, right? So sometimes there are many ways to understand it. Sometimes it is known as business process re-engineering, BPR also, but the methods are same. Different consultant, different experts will give it different names. Don't get like if somebody tomorrow talks about what do you mean by business process re-engineering, right? It is the same thing. What actually you are doing fundamentally, I am trying to map, I am trying to find out which business processes are adding value to my company, my organization, which processes are not adding value. Then I'll try to remove those non-value added activities, re-engineer the process. That will become a business process re-engineering. Same concept if I'm applying in a production or operation management, this is known as value stream mapping. Think about a automobile company, or think about, because we always discuss automobile, let's try to discuss something, laptop, right? So Dell manufactures these laptops, right? If you go to the Dell assembly line, so they'll try to find out how much time. See, at the end, what is my final value? Final value is my final laptop, which is a product. For that, what I need raw component materials or components, right? I need whatever molds, I need keyboards, I need processors, I need memory, I need camera, whatever the components I need. I might have the bill of material that might be 100 or 200 components. So they are being sourced. So what is my process step 1? So I'm getting those components sourced from my different vendors. What is the value addition there, right? So some part when they're getting delivered, quality check, right? So that is the value addition, because I need material which is kind of suitable for my, so that should not be any defective or malfunctioning component, right? So that part might be value added. But logistics, how much time it takes to travel from supplier's warehouse to my warehouse. If it takes 3 days or 5 days, actually that is non-value added. It is not going to add value to my final laptop. What is going to add value? When I do a proper quality check. So any components which are defective or malfunctioning, I can remove that. Right? So that can be my value added. Next might be the actual assembly part. Right? Then I have employed 3 or 4 workers who are assembling a single laptop. Then I'll look into how much time they're taking to assemble the laptop. Let's say it is taking 2 hours. Then I'll divide. So what exactly, so somebody is taking that laptop cover, somebody is taking that processor, somebody is taking that memory card. They're trying to join them together, right? To assemble them together, right? So each of them, it is has to happen in minute, like how much, let's say putting that processor, putting that memory card, putting that webcam, right? Each of them, how much time it is taking. Can I improve some of that activities? Because if it is taking, let's say 3 hours or 2 hours to assemble a laptop, it is too much time. Can I automate some of the processes? Can I pre-assemble? Can I ask my supplier? Can I ask my vendors to pre-assemble some of the components and give me together? Right? So then what will happen? So value added activities from mine. So I can increase my cycle time. I can improve my kind of whatever the output of my assembly line, right? So that is somewhere you have to think of. So basically you started with a manufacturing setup. So that is where your material flow comes, right? Material flows from one, like from vendor it comes, it goes to the assembly line, it will go to the process. Step 3 might be the final checkup, final quality check. If some employees, some workers will be there, they'll finally check whether the laptop is working properly or not. Then the process step 4 may be packaging. So on each step, I'm looking at how much time it is taking. Then whether there is a element where I can reduce the non-value added activities, right? So if you see in each process, there is a process time, then there is a wait period, right? Most of the times what we want to reduce the wait time, right? Because waiting time is a non-value added activities. If a worker is there and he is waiting for the laptop to come to him, it takes 5 minutes or 10 minutes in the assembly line to come to him. That 10 minutes of waiting period is actually waste, right? Can I reduce that? Right.
So what
So
is the cycle time and uptime? So
what do you mean by
cycle time, uptime.
cycle time? It takes to produce 1 unit of whatever product or component what you are manufacturing. So that is your cycle time. If I say cycle time is 5 minutes, that means I take 5 minutes to manufacture a product or a component. Tag time is a requirement from a customer. If my sales and marketing are telling that you have to produce 10,000 units per day, so my tag time will be depending upon my working hours, number of hours divided by, let's say I am working 3 shifts, 8 hours each. So 24 hours, 24 hours into 60, whatever, how much is 60 into 24, 1200, 1440 minutes, right? 1440 minutes divided by 10,000, right? So that means within 0.14 minute, that means around how much? A, 10 or 12 seconds, right? Or less than 8 seconds. 8 to 9 seconds, I have to manufacture a laptop. That is what the requirement. Now I'll try to find out what is my cycle time. Actually, in my assembly line, how much time it takes me to manufacture a laptop. If my cycle time is greater than tag time, then I'll have lot many laptops manufactured and which are landing, which are being in my warehouse. If my cycle time is less than tag time, that means, or sorry, cycle time is more than tag time, that means the requirement from the market is to complete a laptop, complete a assembly of a laptop within 10 seconds or 9 seconds. But I'm taking 1 minute or 2 minutes to manufacture a laptop. So I might have to employ more resources, put a more assembly line, right? So that is the difference between cycle time and tag time. So what else you asked? Uptime.
Yes, sir.
Uptime is basically uptime and downtime means uptime is how much time your machines or employees are working, right? So that is the uptime. Downtime is how much time they are not working, right? When I say my network is 99%, I'll give you a assurance of 99.5% of uptime. That means out of 100 days, my network will be working for on an average 99.5 days. So that is the uptime. If I'm taking that same principle in my plant, so all the plants, all the manufacturing plants go for a regular shutdown, regular maintenance activities in a year, maybe for 20 days, 25 days, or a month, right? So what I can say, my plant uptime is around 11/12, whatever 80% or 90%, because that is a standard, right? Because anyhow your plant will go for a maintenance shutdown in a year, maybe for a month or 15 days. In a particular day also there might be uptime or downtime, because you know that it takes certain time to operate your machines. Certain buffer time will be given so that machines can be, equipment can be cooled down. Because if you regularly operate a machine for 24 hours, within 2 days or 5 days they will collapse, right? They'll get overheated and they'll collapse. So that is where uptime and downtime comes. So each day you might operate the machine for 8 hours, 6 hours will be downtime. So that is where uptime and downtime concept comes. Clear?
Yes, sir. So, sir, in each process step, the cycle time and uptime is calculated to derive the value.
Uptime is mostly
Value.
equipment dependent, like how much time that your equipment, or a, let's say soldering equipment, because let's say you are soldering a component or fixing certain screws, right? How much time it takes to get a new next screw to hold it, or next soldering element. See, when you are soldering certain components inside a laptop, right? It might happen that after 1 hour or 30 minutes or 20 minutes of operations, you have to change the soldering element. So that will be the downtime. So each 1 hour there will be a downtime of 10 minutes. Okay. So that is already fixed, and for your employees, every 4 hours there will be a break, right? So those are uptime and downtime for employees and for machines. Cycle time, to let's say to fix a processor in a laptop, how much time I take. That process, if my processing, let's say my process step 4, that is our packaging. How much time it takes to package a single laptop. Let's say it takes 15 seconds. So that is my cycle time. So I add all the cycle time, it will give me the total cycle time of the assembling a laptop, including whatever quality check of the laptop components, then assembling, then testing the laptop, then packaging. So all the 4 steps. Total adding them, let's say it is coming into 2.5 minutes or 3 minutes. So that is the cycle time of manufacturing a laptop. Cycle time of a process, let's say last step is packaging. How much time it takes to package a laptop? Let's say it is only 15 seconds or 30 seconds. So that is the cycle time. Uptime is basically about your overall equipment uptime, overall employee uptime. Obviously, when I say 8 hours is the shift time, nobody is going to regularly work for 8 hours, right? In between, they'll take a break, right? So that is already defined. What I want to calculate is what is the cycle time. So to answer your question, most of the time they will be much more inclined on finding out the cycle time, and out of the cycle time, how much is the waiting time, how much is the actually process time. Because cycle time, let's say packaging, the person, let's say a single person is there who is packaging laptops, right? So what do you need for packaging? You need packaging material, then that whatever bundles or whatever testing material, and you are package that laptop, right? Out of that, how much time you wait to get the packaging material, and how much actually you do the process, actual activity of packaging, right? If you find out that that person is waiting on an average 30 seconds for packaging material to arrive at his place, then that is a wait time, right? So that is a wastage. Can I reduce that? Then if the cycle time, the actually process time it is taking, packaging a single laptop, it is taking 45 seconds or 1 minute. Can I automate it? If I automate it, I can reduce it, right? Rather than single employee, if it is taking 1 minute or 45 seconds to package a laptop, if I put a machine, So machines may package it within 10 seconds or 15 seconds, right? So I'm reducing the process time also, right? So sometimes you have to think of. So first criteria or first activity is to reduce the wait time. Second activity is to reduce the process time. If I reduce them both, then my cycle time for that process will get reduced. Clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So let us try to understand through it how it can be utilized in a service processes, right? So for today's class exercise, which you have to supply by, I think, uh, complete it by maybe Friday or Saturday. You have been given an emergency room, right? So I've given that. I think most of you might have seen that Muna by MBBS movie, right? The same scenario I've given emergency room, right? How, where, and I have already given you the map, right? So you have to find out which are the areas you can combine, which are the areas where you can improve upon, right? Again, it is qualitative in nature. You can read about hospital emergency rooms and try to find out those answers, right? So how that value stream mapping can be utilized in a service setup, right? Let's say recruitment process. Agency is providing recruitment services, right? How much time it takes to recruit one resource? Almost processing time total is 98 days. Total, if I add them all up, it is coming around 98 days. That is around 3 months, 3.5 months to recruit a resource. Recruit, let's say, IT engineer or a business analyst or whichever resource, right? So think about Naukri.com, think about any kind of recruitment agency, right? So how that recruitment process, what are the steps? Requisition creation, that okay, I need 10 engineers who are Java qualified, having 3 years of experience or whatever, those job descriptions and all those things, right? So that is the recruitment creation. Then job posting, either in LinkedIn or Naukri will be posting those jobs. Then the application process starts. Candidates apply either through website or Naukri or LinkedIn. Then the screening process, the initial HR screening, shortlisting, interview, whatever number of interviews, managerial interview, technical, then HR round. Again, it depends upon company to company, right? Then the offer, final offer, then actually the pre-boarding when the employee joins the company, right? So on an average, it is giving how much wait time. So these are the process time. So requisition creation, recruiter. If I actually want to create a job description, because I have all the information, it will take me 45 minutes to create the job description, that Word document or the PowerPoint. But for that, I have to wait 3 days. I have to send an email whether that you send me that information. I'll ask that technical guy. I'll ask the previous HR guy, right? So it takes 3 days to collect those kind of information. But actually consolidating it, putting that in a Word document or PowerPoint, it might take 45 minutes. So this is my process time, but waiting time is 3 days. Similarly, I wait only for 10 minutes because once it is ready, my job description is ready, I need, so this is very low, 10 minutes is okay. Then I put on my LinkedIn, put on Naukri, I put that job posting. So it again 15 minutes. Then I need on an average 12 days, which is again a long period to start, like kind of, because 12 days are for applications. People will provide applications. So I have to collect around 100 or 1000 or 500 applications, right? So I give 12 days, right? So that is again wait period, right? Then 60 minutes it takes to like kind of download, consolidated all the application pool, how many people have applied. Let's say 100 engineers or 500 engineers have applied. I will download it in Excel file and provide that. Then 2 days around I wait before the actual screening happens, because maybe that same person who have put that job description, he is not shortlisting, right? Somebody else in the team might be shortlisting based upon the 10th, 12th mark, job qualification and all those things, right? So if you see everywhere, there is whatever is mentioned in the top, those are the wait time. If I go to the previous slide, there is something called wait time and process time, right? So wait time, if I add that up, right, total processing time is 98 days. Out of that, cycle time, actual processing time is, if I add this 45 minutes, 15 minutes, 60 minutes, 300 minutes, all of them 480 minutes, all of them together are 4 days. So what it shows actually, out of 98 days, which it takes to recruit one Java engineer, actual processing time, actual time which is value added is 4 days only. 96% are NVA, non-value added or waste. Non-value added are mostly those kind of waiting time, 12 days, 2 days, 2 days, 12 days, 3 days, 60 days, right? So this is somewhere actually most of the HR people start to work with, right? If you see in our campus also, rather than waiting 60 days for you to join, some people start kind of onboarding you very quickly, even in your 4th semester also, right? So that is where the dilemma comes, because again, that 60 days cannot be reduced also, because in most of the companies that is the notice period, right? But for you it is actually waste, because you need that person tomorrow within 10 days or 15 days, but you have to wait 60 days because that person is serving a notice period somewhere. Can I reduce that 60 period days? That's why in somewhere in job description they'll be writing immediate joining only, right? Those persons who can join tomorrow, because that company is not willing to wait 60 days. That is a non-value added activity for them. So they'll shortlist those candidates who can join within 2 days or 7 days, right? So this is a service process of recruitment. So you have to find out wait time and process time, and you are trying to reduce the wait time first. Then next, once you reduce that, then you have to question yourself whether this 4 days can be reduced. When I'm taking this 300 minutes for screening, can I put a machine learning algorithm or a artificial intelligence which can screen through all those 500 pages of CVs and get me 50 CVs, which might take 300 minutes, around 5 hours for a human resource, for a human to go through all the CVs, read it out and shortlist. If I put a machine learning algorithm, it will do within 10 minutes or 15 minutes. So I can reduce the 300 minutes to 30 minutes. So I'll save 270 minutes there. So that step will come later on. First, at least I will try to reduce this wait time. 10 minutes, it is okay. Whether I can reduce this 12 days. Rather than 12 days, can I make it 5 days or 6 days? Again, here it is 12 days. Most importantly, here it is something 60 days. Rather than 60 days, can I make 30? So if I make it 30, suddenly my total time will come down to from 98 to 68, right? So that is somewhere you will work on to improve your service process, right? Is this part clear? So how basically this kind of value stream mapping work? Map the current state of process. This whatever each process you are mapping. So mapping means you are putting that in a chain. Which step comes after what other step, right? So job posting obviously will come after once somebody creates that job description, right? Along with all the details, what is the CTC, what is the job role, all those things, right? Once you get the document ready, then only you can put that job in Naukri or LinkedIn, right? I'm just talking about that HR manager, right? Then only the application process will start. So first point is map the current state of processes. Now look for the scopes of, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, sir. Sir, we have our next class at
Yeah.
10.
You can go ahead. So basically the class assignment is on this. In case of any doubt, give me a call later on. Okay.
Okay, sir. Sure. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I'm missing attendance.
What is your roll number?
140.
Okay. You can
Sir,
leave the class.
171.
Okay. 140, 171. Okay.